Hey guys, welcome back to Planet Mithril Paints, and today we'll be showing you how to paint the Uruk Hai scouts, sent forth from Isengard under the command of Lurtz in pursuit of our brave fellowship, finally coming to blows at Amon Hen. Without further delay, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Base coat all the armour plating, including the helmet, shield, sword, greaves, and chest plate, with a mix of lead belcher and Abaddon black. We're going to be making this slightly lighter than normal Uruk Hai warriors, as these fellas spend most of their time out in the open in broad daylight, so we feel this better reflects this look. We still want to reflect the look of the crude, dirty orc armour their counterparts sport. Once both washes are dry, carefully apply an edge highlight all around the armour plating with a mix of lead belcher and pallid witch flesh. Be careful here, as any mistakes will be difficult to blend back in with the tone of the washed lead belcher. Start off by base coating all the exposed skin with a 3-part mix of Doomball Brown, Corn Red and Abaddon Black. This will give the Uruk skin its characteristic reddish hue we're looking for. Don't forget to cover the bare arm under the shield, ankles, toes and the tiny bridge of the nose in the helmet visor. Layer over now by adding tuskor furs to the previous mix. This will lift the natural red and burgundy tones naturally and will prevent the skin's finished hue from becoming too cartoonishly red. Once the wash is dry, relay with the previous mix, leaving the wash showing in the recesses to define the hard musculature of the Uruk's arms and legs. Add more tuskor fur to the mix for the first highlight stage. Focus is now on the upper crests of musculature and the areas where the light will be hitting most prominently to create definition over the Uruk as he runs through the wilderness. Finally, apply an edge highlight with pure tuskor fur just to accentuate the outer areas of muscle and make the Uruk's skin pop just that little bit more. If you're feeling up to it, now you can carefully paint the Uruk's teeth and eyes within the helm with Rakoth flesh, but this is purely optional. The main bulk of an Uruk Hai Scout's model is a variety of different browns and leathers, long worn and sun bleached from their time spent pursuing their prey in the wild. To reflect this, whilst also trying to maintain a visually appealing model on the tabletop, we'll be using a few different brown palettes to create some differentiation between the outer and inner leathers, as well as the straps and gloves. Start base coating all the outer robes with a mix of dry bark and rhinox hide. Areas to focus on include the straps beneath the helm, upper sleeves, outer material folds falling around their legs, and the main body material surrounding their chest plate. Now we want to bring a slight degree of vibrancy to the outer robes and give them a slightly richer base which will translate well into a more weather-worn look when we reach the highlighting stages. To achieve this, add some scrag brown to the previous Rhinox dried bark mix and apply an all-over layer over the areas we've just base coated. Once the wash is dry, relay with the previous mix, leaving the Agrak Thur shade showing in the deepest recesses and areas of material. Some of the cloth areas can be quite flat in terms of definition, so take your time to map out exactly where you want the light to be hitting the material and shade accordingly. Now we have the rich base tones and the shaded areas sorted, we want to focus on enhancing the sun-bleached look of the leather. To achieve this, start adding Gawthor Brown to the Rhinox Dryad Scrag mix, and highlight the cloth by focusing on the upper and outer areas of material, focusing on the edges and the more pronounced folds where the light would naturally be hitting more prominently. Finally, add more Gawthor Brown for the final edge highlight. Focus on pushing the previous highlights further by keeping your brush strokes as tight and thin as you can. At this stage, your mix should be no more than 50% Gawthor Brown and 50% the original leather layer mix. If you want, afterwards you can apply a glaze with Agrax Earthshade thinned down by approximately 75% Lamian Medium. Now, start base coating all the inner areas of cloth around the legs, lower sleeves and the back with a mix of Steel Legion Drab and Rhinox Hide. The Rhinox Hide will tone down the vibrancy of the Steel Legion as not to create too much of a contrast. Layer over now by adding a small amount of Zemesi Desert to the Steel Legion Rhinox mix. Once the wash is dry, relayer with the previous mix, leaving the wash showing in the deepest recesses. We won't be highlighting these areas as much as the outer robes, as they're predominantly shadowed by the Uruk and the cloth above. Apply a highlight by adding some pallid witch flesh to the previous mix, focusing on the upper and outer areas of material just as we did the main body of cloth. Finally, add more pallid witch flesh to the mix for the final edge highlight. Your mix should contain no more than an approximate 50% pallid witch flesh for this stage. Paint the Uruk's gloves with dried bark. Once the wash is dry, apply an edge highlight with Gawthor Brown. Carefully pick out all the belts and straps around the shield, back, midsection, back of the legs and sandals, as well as the sword hilt with a mix of storm vermin fur and Abaddon black. Now carefully apply an extreme edge highlight just to the edges of the straps with pure storm vermin fur. This will create a barrier between the dark straps and browns, which will differentiate where one area stops and another begins when on the tabletop. Finally, the White Hand of Saruman. Pick whereabouts on the model you wish the insignia to be. We recommend the helmet and the shield as the most favourable places. With pallid witch flesh, paint on an elongated C stretching out the bottom section to be the palm. Then carefully paint in 4 small, thin lines over the top to represent the fingers, and a smaller, stubbier line on the side to represent the thumb. You can break up these lines to give the paint a more slapdash look and create variation across the army if you wish. There we have it, the Uruk Hai scouts ready to leave Isengard in pursuit of their halfling prey. This paint scheme can be replicated across your entire army of scouts, with subtle changes here and there to create some differentiation across the force as a whole, as shown here.